Hello and welcome to the iFox with Juice podcast. I am your host, Juice. I'm here with my co-host, Rina Parsegan. Rina, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Not watching child porn and not watching Randy Couture beat off. How about you?
God, I did not watch that video. I'm just going to admit it right now. I couldn't watch it. I was too
Uh,
scared. So
and I'm just
whoever
gonna
watched it, you guys are brave.
assume I'm gonna go out on the limb here and say you don't watch child porn either, for the record, right?
Fuck no, man. Sorry, I had to cuss there, but no, of course not.
I'm telling you, you can cuss. I've been insisting on it for episodes, but yeah, for whoever may not know, yes, that was a dig at Ian Kidd, and then
God.
yeah, Randy Couture. As Mac Molly said today on Twitter, that had me cracking up. That he made tummy pancakes, which had me fucking rolling. Who even thinks of some shit like that? Oh my god, that was so funny.
What does that mean, tummy pancakes?
Oh,
What
oh
does
my
that
god,
mean?
am I really gonna have to get graphic reading?
No, please help me. What does that mean?
Okay, so when oh my god, okay, so we're starting off on the right foot right now. So he's, you know, pleasing himself, and when he releases, it's presumably going to go on his stomach, and it's going to look like white batter that you do to cook pancakes.
Oh, oh my God.
Yes, yeah, that's what that's about. So there's a
Oh
little
my God. You
there's a
guys.
little there's a little education lesson for you kids. Stay
Oh,
in
God
school.
bless Twitter, man. I love Twitter.
Yes, that guy does awesome stuff. Uh he always makes my day at least one day a week. But anyway, that's much better than talking about the horrible things that Ian Kidd did. But we're gonna move on from that. We're gonna get straight into fights. There's a lot of stuff to cover tonight. A lot of fights happening this weekend in general, and a lot of news. We're actually not even really gonna have time for a weird, wacky news story, so we're just gonna get straight into it. So we're gonna start with reviewing 231, which kind of feels like it's been forever now, but man, so much that actually happened in that card. Um, Holloway defending, Shevchenko winning the belt that basically everyone thought was already hers, and well, covering our picks in general too. So we'll start with the main event. Obviously, Max Holloway, amazing, breaking the record for all-time strikes landed in the UFC at what 27 years old, beating Brian Ortega to a pulp, just looking dominant. I mean, it was a fun fight too. It was a entertaining back and forth fight for a minute, but once Holloway got in his groove, he just did not let up. What did you think, Green? What did you think of just his performance? Just how dominant it was? What impressed you most about it? Or just your general thoughts?
Man, the whole health thing, he just totally shut everybody down with it. I think, especially in the first round, it seemed to me he already knew what was happening. He knew Brian's game, and that was it. Like he downloaded everything, and then he was just coasting the entire time. We got to see, the great Max Holloway back at it again. And I knew it. Like I always had this feeling like this is way too much for Brian right now. This is way too soon to take on somebody like Max.
I think a lot of people made a big deal about the age, and they should, just in the fact of like the narrative. Two young guys who are basically the same age with awesome skill sets, but there is an experience factor there. I mean, Ortega he's active. He's not a slouch by any means. He definitely took basically all the fights that were offered to him. But Max Holloway, I don't remember when it was, 2014 or 2015. There was like a year where he won like 5, 6 fights in a row, like in a year. Like it was ridiculous. He was just taking late notice fight after late notice fight. And that was a big reason of why he started catapulting in the division. He just kept taking fights and he just kept winning them. He kind of took that cowboy approach. But that is, I have so much respect for Holloway. I will say this: he may have surpassed Carlos Condit this weekend for me as my all-time favorite fighter. Just seeing him continually do what he does, not just how good he is, but just him having that mean streak, the taunting, the hands down, the you know putting his chin up to it, putting his fist up to his chin, like hit me, motherfucker. Like that, I love that shit. You know, very that Diaz thing in him, but also just how smart he is. He's equal parts hood and equal parts intelligent, and that's the thing that I love about him is that he's not, you know, obviously he'll do some crazy shit like get in a brawl with Ricardo Lamas with 10 seconds left just because that's what he wants to do and that's in his spirit. But then to do what he did to Ortega, I mean, that was just masterful. He never really gave him a chance. Even when they were exchanging, you can tell it's just like, okay, yeah, you might hit me, but I'm gonna get you back, and I'm every one time you hit me, I'm gonna hit you twice or three times. And after about 2 rounds, you kind of saw Ortega like, I can't really keep up. I can't keep up the space, and I can't play this game with this guy anymore because he's not playing. It's not a tactical battle. He's just fucking me up.
Yeah, it seemed like he was having a lot of fun. He was clowning him. He was walking like a zombie at one point. That's why I started laughing as just you were like, going through everything. But just
Yeah, how
everything
weird.
about him that night, like he got better. It seemed
Yeah,
like he was just
after a year
back in
long
his groove
layoff.
again. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was so amazing. So
and it
man,
wasn't like a broken hand or something. I mean, he had that. I think he had like an ankle injury for the. He was supposed to fight Edgar in March, so I guess that was kind of minor. But then the weight cut with the Khabib fight, and then whatever happened in International Fight Week, with the reason he got pulled with the slurring of the speech and all that. I mean, yeah, who knows what's happening? But like you said right off the bat, like all those doubts about him not being 100%, they went out the window, man. And I'm gonna say, obviously I'm gonna give Ortega props for having such big heart, showing the spirit. But I obviously, man, him, it's amazing he never got dropped. But I think it's also equally amazing that I knew he had his nose broke. There's no way he was getting away with that. But I'm amazed he didn't get his orbital broken. He walked away with a broken nose and a broken thumb on his apparently on his account. But I'm just surprised he and kind of grateful that he didn't have more damage because that boy got messed up.
yeah, I'm glad they stopped the fight at that point because there's just no way. There's no reason to continue.
Yeah, it was a
So
lot.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, save him from himself, and I believe him when he was saying like I'd die in there. Like, yeah, man, it's your first title fight, and at least when you're in there, I'm sure he knew he was losing, but he was never beaten. You know what I mean? Never beaten like soundly, like where his spirit was left out of his body. He was in it. He was in it to win it. Just the body would no longer it was no longer responding the way he wanted it to.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen from here because I know that what he's going to have like a role in a movie, right, coming up. So he'll be out. I mean, he's injured now, so he has to heal up from that and then take on this movie role. I wonder if he's going to change his game up and possibly maybe look into Muay Thai or something. And did you see that kick he whipped on Max? That
Oh, that leg kick, like in the third
yeah,
round. Yeah, I was like, "Eee!" Yeah, he threw that, and I was like, "God damn!" Oh, he meant that. He wanted
yeah,
to
he
break
can
his
do
leg off
it.
his body.
Yeah, and he can do that. So maybe he should do that more going forward. Chop those legs up. Make those people shoot in.
That was
Bring them
probably
to
the
your.
that was probably the one moment in the fight where I literally thought the fight could turn around for Ortega because he hit him so hard. I wouldn't have been surprised if Holloway would have just started limping and lose all his movement and just become flat footed and just be a target for Ortega. That's how hard that kick was. That I was actually concerned, even though he was winning basically every minute of
Yeah.
that fight so far.
So yeah, I saw that too, and I'm like, dang, I didn't know he had a snap like that. I'm like, wow, he should start doing that more, not just rely on standing in front of somebody and rely on his boxing. Maybe add some more to his arsenal.
I will no longer call him a fake gringo Mexican because man, he showed true Mexican heart from that fight, man, to the point where it was like uncomfortable. Like, dude, use your head a little bit. You're getting a little bit too Mexican for me, man. But you know what? You did make a good point with the movie thing because I mean I don't know how realistic or how or if that's even something he wants to do at this point. But it might not be a bad choice for him because if it is on the schedule and he could put it in at a good time, he probably should do it because man, he took a lot of damage. That's not something you recover from in 3 months. I realistically, and I'm sure he got decent pay for this fight. If he can afford it, I really hope that I'd want him at least to take like 6 months off. I wouldn't want to see him again till like summer, till like maybe the May card, like the Memorial Day card or International Fight Week, because to come back into it after the beating he took is that's not going to be good for him.
Yeah, I agree. So just take some time off and just rethink strategy. Can't just survive off of jiu-jitsu and his striking, his
Yeah,
current striking.
that was a tough lesson to that he learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so in the co-main event, we had Shevchenko soundly beating Joanna for a fourth time. I was so I just felt vindicated of what I've been telling people for months. I wanted to see the fight. I was never opposed to the fight. That like it's a lame fight. It was just like as I think I kind of mentioned last week. Is like I kind of already knew what was going to happen, even though I'd never seen those Muay Thai fights. I kind of already knew what was going to happen because just stylistically, I know how they played up of Shevchenko's countering and her clinch, and that's exactly what happened. She was beat to the Joanna was beat to the punch every single time, and in the clinch, it was just not even a challenge. Joanna had no chance in there. She was just so much, not even bigger. I think they size up pretty well, but as far as the skill and the technique that Shevchenko was using, like she was just ragdolling her basically. And then I did take a little bit of glee seeing Joanna's own move used against her, that front kick to the face. Shevchenko got her with a really good one.
That was
And
awesome.
yeah, and she never even seemed to get mad. Like you think that is kind of a disrespectful thing, especially in Thailand. Like some people do get really mad at that. I know not. I know some, I guess non-Thais take it that way. But just the fact that I feel like she kind of used it to dig at her, like yeah, I can do it too. Watch this, bam, you know?
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. It was
Yeah,
fast too. I'm like, damn, that's a better front kick than Joanna's.
yeah. Shevchenko, I'm sorry, Joanna could throw no better. I mean, she really just it was exactly that. Just look at this, bam, in the face. But I mean, the fight was what it was. Um, Joanna's obviously in a hard spot, losing 3 of her last 4, and 2 of those losses being to Rose. And I mean, even with this loss, yes, technically it's only one loss in MMA, but she's lost to her 4 times. I mean, I don't see any conceivable way that Joanna gets a rematch with Shevchenko. Unless, I mean, it would take years, honestly. Shevchenko has to lose that title in order for her to compete at 125, at least for the belt, in my opinion. And I mean, I don't know if she's gonna go up, if she's gonna stay, or if she's gonna go back down. But just things aren't looking good for her. What do you think, Green? Is there what approach can she take? Because I mean, should she just keep fighting, just have that typical cowboy run in her, and just I'll take on all comers and just keep them coming?
Well, at the conference after the fight, she was making all kinds of excuses again, and
Was
she
she?
just yeah about the losses and whatnot, and it sounded like what she wants is to go back down, and she wants a title fight. She doesn't want to take anything else but a title fight.
I
So
mean, in a way, it's like okay, she did beat Tisha Torres, who is a top 5 girl, and I respect Tisha a lot. That win isn't nothing, and in a way, I guess this loss to Shevchenko isn't really nothing if she goes back down. But you have Andrade, you have Suarez, you have these killers at 115 right now. I don't, I don't, I don't see how she can surpass either of them. I don't know what's gonna happen right now with the title picture. And then, oh well, she was saying of Rose that she needs to fight soon because it's gonna be a year and she's not being active. That they should strip her, which is bullshit. But Dana said as much that he loves Joanna. She's one of his favorite fighters and considers her a friend. So maybe she was saying that to get like plant a seed in Dana's head, like, hey, remember me? I was a very active champion. Why are you letting her get away with it? That's what that seemed like to me.
Yeah, I don't know. These losses are really getting to her, I think. I mean, she even said something about, I got to think about my health. I've been doing this for a while. So she even threw that out too. So she just lost. There's a lot going on. You know,
Yeah.
she said she's going to come back. The Boogie Woman's coming back, blah, blah, blah. These losses are so tough on her. So I don't know what's going to happen with her. I don't know what's right for her. Maybe it's time to go because, like you said, Suarez is coming up. Andrade, you gonna fight her again? Man, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, that's an understatement. I mean, and then I remember her saying it when she was like at her most dominant, like after she beat um Gadelia like the second time, and when she was like at the tippity top, I remember her saying that she wanted to get married and have kids, and she's still pretty young. She's what, 30, 31. Um and as far as the family thing, she can still do it, but women are different, it's not. Yeah, I mean, to the common notion is you don't really want to have kids after 35, but some women want to get on it right away, and some they're like, well, I'm push that cart all the way to the end and see how far I can go. So I don't know. I mean, I knew she was engaged. I don't know if she's still with that guy. I don't know if these things haven't been brought up or she's just that intent on getting the title. But it does seem, yeah, if she's gonna start a family and that whole thing, I don't. It doesn't seem like she's the kind of person that's gonna stick around. I think she's gonna want to become a mom and a wife and do that whole thing. I don't think she's gonna want to do fighting and the family thing. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I think so too. Because she also mentioned like, oh, I spend all this time in the States. I want to go back home and spend
That's
time with my
true.
family, and
Yeah,
so there's that as well. So who knows what's going to happen with her?
yeah, definitely. The weird spot. I do not envy her. I may have been talking some shit on Joanna lately, but the way she lost, I mean, she didn't get brutally knocked out or nothing. It wasn't even like the first Rose fight, but she was just outclassed. She didn't really get hurt or anything either, but I mean, she was just outclassed. It was kind of embarrassing, honestly. I mean, you really can't do anything against this girl, and you just know she just looks in your eyes like Shevchenko never gave her any respect in that fight. That was the craziest thing to me. Is like you think just the fact that it was MMA, she'd be like, okay, I need to be careful, maybe not throw so many kicks, maybe not, nothing. She was just like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and you ain't gonna do shit about it. And she didn't. She got away with everything that she wanted to do.
Man, Valentina looks so fast, and she just looks so ripped for that's a perfect division for her. That's hers. She's gonna be up there for a long time.
It's crazy that she I think she looked even faster here than she did at 135, which doesn't make much sense because most 135 girls are kind of slow in comparison to her. But she even Joanna's fast at 115 at a weight class lower, and she just looked like on another level. She looked like she was just at a totally different pitch.
Yeah, that was a fun fight though. So man, I can't believe we just had 231.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it's,
crazy.
like what I was saying earlier, right? It feels like it's almost like it's been longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good card though.
So that was one. So far those are the two headlining fights. We both got that one. Well, those two, right? Then there was Santos Manoa, which is um where we had differing opinions, and I ended up getting this right. I said I couldn't trust Manoa's chin, and it seems like you can't, but it also seems like you can't sleep on Santos' power even at a upper weight class. What did you think of that knockout, Rain?
That was a terrifying fight. Oh my god. I'm surprised he lasted that long. That was just way to kick off the card. That was just an amazing fight. That's all I can say. Like
Who,
highlight.
Santos? Santos or
Yeah.
Manoa?
Well, just that fight in general, they both just
Oh yeah, they went
went
at
at
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was amazing. It was sad to see Manuel go down, but Yeah, man. Who's next for him? Santos. Like
205. Man, that's a good.
who's calling to fight that guy? Who's thinking about changing weight classes with that guy?
That's a good question. Well, Anthony
Right?
Smith, he beat Anthony Smith at 185. That's basically the top dog right now. I mean, come on. Do you really want to see Santos versus Shogun? You know,
Yeah.
Shogun just got to win. And I'm not even saying this to like old light heavyweight sucks, but like seriously, like Shogun just got to win. He may be top five, top six.
I don't want to see a
So
murder. No murders.
yeah,
That would be bad.
yeah. I can't think of any real high profile contenders that would be like a good fight off the top of my head. But those are the things. Those are the ones that come to mind. Shogun, because he just came off a win, and Anthony Smith, but it seems like he wants to wait for a title shot. I don't know. I guess we really have to wait for the Jones Gustafson fight because I don't know. I mean, that might be another war. Those guys may be out for like another 6 months or a year, depending on how if it goes the way that the first one went. You know,
Yeah, that's true.
it may not be quick to come by. Hold on. I feel like I was missing something else about that fight. Oh, well, there was a lot of debate online. It seemed like that they felt that they got some people felt that Santos and Manuel got robbed the fight of the night. That was a true fight of the night over Ortega and Holloway. Do you think they should have got that? As Santos at least got a bonus for the knockout, but do you think they should have got fight of the night?
That's tough to call because that main event was like watching the Matrix or something.
Yeah, I mean it was entertaining in the violence aspect. Like, oh my god, like how are they going? This is crazy. But Santos
Yeah.
Manuel was just spinning shit. Manoa tried that cartwheel kick even as he was falling over, and everything was just 100% pedal to the metal. I'm gonna get knocked out, or you're gonna get knocked out, and that was evident from like the first second of the fight.
Yeah. I don't know. That's tough to call because it's the main event was like watching a surgeon do its work, and then here's this brutal
Yeah, it's like
fight.
a fun brawl that you could probably see in the backyard somewhere, or this excellent technical masterpiece.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's a toss up. I still gotta go with main event. I'm sorry. Yeah,
I guess
that
people
was
probably
amazing.
I guess people probably feel that way too because Holloway's a champ and like, well, he already has a championship paycheck and he already got a bonus. Like, why are you taking money away from the little guys? I guess maybe that's where people are coming from with that.
Mm, gotcha.
Yeah.
I get it. But
And for the last fight that we covered, Claudia Gadelha, she got beat by Nina Ansaroff in I believe it was a split decision, right? It was a close fight either way, but Ansaroff ended up winning. When I first saw this, when I saw it live, I thought that Gadelha was gonna win. I was a little bit surprised that Ansaroff won, but I wasn't mad. And at the end of the day, I really just kind of was like, no big deal. Mostly because Gadelha won against Esparza, and I don't think she won against Esparza at all. So to me, it's like you win some, you lose some. You won kind of a robbery in your last fight, and you lost a questionable decision in this one. I'm not gonna cry for you. What did you think of the decision?
I thought it was good. It looked like Claudia, gassed out after the first round. So
Um,
she looked like she was already tired coming into the second, and she wasn't
yeah,
too sure of her abilities. And Nina kind of took over, but I wasn't really impressed with her either, though.
with
Um,
Gadelha,
with Nina, like she did great. She did
yeah,
good against Claudia, but
I thought
like I
she
want to
could do
see more.
better. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
thought
want
she
to
could
see
do
more.
better.
Right.
Maybe she just respected
So
her too much. She was like, okay, this is a top contender. I can't just be winging haymakers and spinning kicks and shit. But I mean, she did throw
mhm.
that. I think in the second round, that hook kick, that fake
Oh
low
god,
hook kick to the yeah, that was
that was
incredible.
beautiful. Yeah.
That's the thing I like about Ansaroff is that she's a great striker. I think people sleep on her striking a little bit too much, but when she pulls out the Taekwondo shit, she's amazing. I mean, that's her background, but she's not like Anthony Pettis or something. where it's all spinning kicks and high kicks and shit. Like she's very tricky with them. And yeah, you could tell that kind of flustered Gadelha when she got hit with that. But yeah, it was a good fight. Um, Props to Nina, and good for us. We got right pick on that one. We both did, even though she was the underdog. So we end up looking kind of smart in that one. So good for us. So that was basically UFC 231, at least for what we had talked about. We're gonna move on now. We're gonna preview this weekend's UFC on Fox event, the last UFC on Fox event. So figured to just go with the full main card. So we got Miller versus Oliveira, Font versus Pettis, Barboza versus Hooker, and of course the main event, Lee versus Iaquinta, the rematch. So we'll start from the bottom up. So Jim Miller versus Charles Oliveira. I think this is a real interesting fight. I'm glad they booked it, and yeah, this is another rematch. I don't know if people remember the first fight. Gonna say it was UFC 124, which I believe was in 2010. It was it was Oliveira's, I think, second or third fight in the UFC. And it was a quick finish for Miller. He tried to play that jiu-jitsu game on Miller, and Miller just pulled out that veteran card, like, son, it's not gonna be that quick, and ended up getting him in that heel hook like 2 minutes in. It was one of Miller's biggest wins up to that point, because everyone thought he was going to lose to this surging prospect. But now they're at a different stage of the game. Miller's kind of hit and miss. Some people say he should retire. He doesn't have it anymore. And then DuBronx Oliveira is kind of hit and miss too. He kind of wins one, loses one, wins two, loses one. He's never really been in title contention all that much. But I think this fight can be really exciting, because I don't think they're going to pull back. I think this is just more for pride and glory and seeing who's the better man. There's no real title implications or anything like that. So I think it's just going to be a fun fight. What say you, Reen?
I think Oliveira will actually take this one back. He has more experience since the previous fight. Yeah, like you said, 2010. So they're gonna run this back. It's hard to count out Miller though, like you said, but man, he's such a tough vet. Yeah, I gotta go with the young blood on this one. I think Oliveira by decision, because it's
Hmm.
hard to put Jim Miller away. So
Yeah,
I think
it
it's gonna be a
is.
good fight.
Yeah, I think so too. Actually, I really haven't. Well, I'm looking at. I haven't really thought about this fight too much to gather my thoughts about a pick. I'm actually looking at Miller's record right now. Oh, it's been kind of rough. I didn't realize how rough it's been. Although it's been to really good guys. So, oh my God, I forgot he lost to Daniel Hooker. He's fighting later on today. Oh man, I forgot about that. It was that knee. But he did beat Alex White in his last fight. Quick rear naked choke. But I mean, it's Alex White. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to go with you and go with Oliveira, because although Miller is tough, I do agree with you on all that. Miller is tough, and I'm actually now starting to think it may be more of kind of like the first fight, but in reverse. I think Oliveira is gonna go at Miller hard. I don't know if it's striking or jiu-jitsu, but I think Miller's not gonna be expecting it. I think he's gonna get caught off guard some way, somehow. He'll probably get dropped by a strike, and get Oliveira will probably jump on a guillotine or something. Because Oliveira, be it as it may, whatever his flaws are, I mean, if that guy goes for submission, like 90% of the time, you're either gonna go out or tap out. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Oliveira. Probably a quick finish, or like a flash knockdown submission type thing. Um, so the next fight coming up, Sergio Pettis versus Rob Font. Pettis is going up in weight. He's going back to bantamweight. I don't know if that's maybe just a function of, maybe he's got scared off now that they're saying that they're going to shut down the division, or if he just is tired of cutting weight. Who really knows? But Rafon's a really good fight for him. Another striker. It should be, if it stays standing, it should be fun. But Pettis is pretty good on the floor too. So I'm gonna let you go on this one too, Reem, because I'm gathering my
Okay.
thoughts on this one.
Okay. So yeah, he's coming back to bantamweight against Font. I think this will be a tough fight for him. His return back to play with the bigger guys, especially Font. He's going to have the size advantage for sure. He has power too. Hmm. I wasn't really sure on this one too, but I think I'm going to see, or I think I'm going to have to call finish by Font. Just because, man, Pettis is so much smaller, and I know he has skills and whatnot, but it's tough going from a flyweight to a bantamweight, and especially somebody like Font.
It's yeah, you actually made good. It's funny. I was thinking all these things as you were saying them, which sounds really corny, but we're getting to the point now where I think most of our picks are similar. But I am gonna agree with you. I think Font has an edge here too, not just the size discrepancy. I think the Pettis brothers have relatively good chins. I think Anthony has a much better chin though. Sergio's been knocked out a few times. He's been dropped a few, even more than that. I don't think he has a bad chin. I think he gets caught off guard by things. He gets caught up in a brawl he shouldn't have. He puts his hands down a quick second where he shouldn't have, and he gets caught with good accurate strikes. So especially with Font being a Delagrade guy, a good Muay Thai base, and using his uh his reach to his advantage, being just a pretty powerful guy in general. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Vaughn as well, and probably, yeah, maybe a first or second round finish. It should be fun forever, however long it lasts. But I think there's either gonna be a strike that Pettis didn't see coming, or he's gonna get hit with like a few combinations that are kind of fluster him. He's gonna start getting the fight taken out of him bit by bit. Okay, so we'll move on to the co-main event. Edson Barboza versus Dan Hooker. Oh man, this fight gets me so excited. It should be all violence, all fun. I'm gonna just go here. I'm just gonna straight up say I'm just gonna go with Dan Hooker in this one. I've been impressed with Hooker for a long time, actually. He just hadn't caught his stride yet. But since he came up to lightweight, he's been doing real good. He was always a big guy. He's even a big guy now for lightweight. I think he's got it figured out. I think he's well rounded. His knees are his knees are what Barboza's leg kicks are. Barboza's got his leg kicks. Hooker's got his knees. Those are going to be the two main weapons. But I think Hooker is smart enough and is dangerous enough to keep Barboza honest, and I think he can win a decision.
I feel the same way. I
God
feel the
damn it!
same way about this fight. Like, I'm excited about this fight because it's Barboza, and then we have this up and coming rising fighter. He's a pressure fighter.
Well,
He has problems with pressure fighters, right?
that's the
Sometimes.
thing about Hooker is that I get what you're saying. I think he is a bit of a pressure fighter, but he can kind of. I feel he can kind of do it all. There's been times where he kind of picks his shots and is more conservative, and there's times where he can just kind of stick it out in the pocket and do a little something something there. So I think
Mm-hmm.
he's got pretty good counter strikes. Obviously, he got Pearson with that knee. That was a counter strike, that knee that he ended up knocking him out with. Um, and yeah, I think that's another issue. Like kind of like what you're saying now is Barboza's kind of limited. He doesn't fight many different. He's not very versatile as far as his style goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anything can happen with Edson, so. But yeah, I still gotta say Hooker by decision.
Yeah, man. See, I went first, so even think that people are just I'm just jacking your answers, but yeah, you basically said what I was thinking as well. So yeah, I don't know. We have similar minds, I guess. This is probably why we do the show. Is we think alike. Great minds think alike, I guess. But okay, so we'll go straight into the main event. Lee versus Iaquinta rematch from Lee's UFC debut back in 2014. It's a good fight. Good fight the first time. Lee was just inexperienced. I believe, if I remember correctly, he took it on late notice. I don't know how much of a late notice, but it showed in the fight. his his grappling was good. Obviously, it's better now, but it was good even then. His striking was nowhere near as good as it is now either. So, And it's interesting. Kevin Lee's basically the top five guy. Everyone has that respect for him. Everyone knows that he's a legit contender. And Iaquinta's been in a weird spot. All his run-ins with the UFC, not getting paid enough, according to him. And then, of course, the Khabib fight this year, which looked like a lot of people were surprised and impressed by because he wasn't finished by Khabib, and I guess it was all the more impressive after Connor was submitted, and Iaquinta ended up going 5 rounds with him on a 1 day's notice. I like this. I like the matchup. I like that the UFC did it. Part of me feels like they're kind of going backwards as far as Lee goes, in the rankings and stuff. But I know that Lee wanted it too because he's been calling for this fight for a while. He wanted to avenge that loss, so I like it because of that. Because they both wanted it. If Iaquinta wins, it's a big win for him. Obviously, he's a top five guy basically instantly, and Lee winning is a good win for him, obviously, and also he gets to right that wrong of his UFC debut. What are your thoughts on the matchup, Rain?
Man, I'm calling Lee by submission on this one.
Damn,
He's evolved.
submission.
Yeah, he's evolved so much. I hope he's been working on his, RNC, rear naked choke. He's been getting those finishes now. So, I mean, he was having trouble with that in the first fight with him, but
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
he's evolved so much. He's working with Dewey Cooper in Vegas now with his
hmm
striking. Like, man, I think he's going to finish him this time. He wants that back.
Yeah, I mean Kevin Lee's just he's a tank, man. And I mean that like literally he's obviously very big, but some especially now that his striking's getting better, sometimes especially with his kicks, like his body kicks, like he kicks like a Thai. He's one of those guys that I don't care if it's the foot or the shin or what, like if I hit you, you better make sure you dodge this because if it hits you, I don't care if it's the elbow or the leg or the your ribs, you're gonna get fucked up and you're gonna feel it. He's got some incredible kicks. He's very dynamic. His punches aren't bad either, and he's getting some good fundamentals. He's getting a good jab, a good cross, and he's got a very long reach too. So he does use that to his advantage. He's getting a lot better sense of distance management. So he's never really in a weird spot. I mean, it shows even in his last fight, in the Barboza fight. He got caught with that wheel kick, but he never went down, which was incredible because he was doing the stanky leg all over the place. But it was also a thing of although he got hit, he did minimize it because he was just far enough away to kind of miss it, and also kind of just far away to kind of prepare himself for it. So yeah, I think his striking's on point. His grappling's been better. It's always been better than Iaquinta's. Yeah, just I'm not sure where Iaquinta's head's been at. Good on him to take that last minute notice fight with Khabib, but I don't know how that helped him to grow as a fighter aside from just that. Oh, he's tough enough to compete with these guys, I guess, but he never really was in a position to win in that fight. So yeah, I think Lee gets it done by submission too, and I'll say second round. I think the first round might be a little bit slow. A little bit slow. It'll pick up, and I think in the second round he'll take him down. And actually, I don't know because Iaquinta has been submitted. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna go with submission. I was gonna say TKO, but I'm just gonna go with submission because I don't think Iaquinta's jiu-jitsu is all that. I know he trains with Matt Serra and stuff and Weidman, but I kind of think their jiu-jitsu has been overrated for a while.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun fight, though. Can't wait to watch it. The last card on Fox.
Yeah, and then well, side note, one of my favorite fighters, KGB, is fighting on the undercard too. He's fighting Jesse Jess. And shit, I don't think I know Jesse Jess's last name. I've always called her Jesse Jess. I don't know. Oh, Jessica Rose Clark. That's why I didn't remember it. But yeah, she's fighting. She's gonna put a whooping in that girl, from what I think, because I've never been too impressed with Jessie Jess. I've never seen much about her in any faculty where I thought she had much going on, and I've always been a giant KGB fan, so that should be fun. But with it, any thoughts on that, Rain, or on any other fight on the card or anything like that?
Yeah, I think Lee will win that one, too. She's been working with Aspen Ladd, so
Yeah, that's another just quick thing on her too. I mean, ever since that thing happened with her husband, with the domestic incident, which I guess we were talking off air that he's still on the run. We're not even sure what's happening with him, but I'm not fully sure where she's been training. Um,
Yeah, I think she's been up here with Aspen because I've been seeing like pictures of them and Coach One,
you
Doug,
think you
he's on
think she did like
Instagram.
her whole camp up here?
I think so. I think she
Yeah.
did her whole entire camp here. But I was reading that Jessie Jess actually switched gyms mid camp. So I wonder how that's gonna affect
Oh
her.
yeah, I didn't read it, but I caught that headline. I didn't bother to read it though. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's and I think she was at Syndicate, right, in Vegas with
Yeah.
Modafferi
So
and yeah.
yeah, I was hearing that like they don't really have like a tight schedule. So she didn't like that, that it's just so loose and whenever come in and train. And then
I
I guess
I
she
always thought
had
that
like
was
a
a good
drinking.
camp. What happened?
I guess she had like a drinking problem or something.
I
So
read
she
something
mentioned
that
she's
she'd
sober.
been yeah, that she'd been sober for like 2 years or something.
Yeah, so she's been like just cleaning that up and
Oh,
trying
okay.
to tighten everything else up, I guess, with her, her fighting and whatnot.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so I don't know if that's going to affect her changing gyms all of a sudden,
Yeah,
but it might if she really needed that.
I feel like that
So,
might not spell for good things for her. Yeah,
mhm.
switching gyms and that sounds like it's desperation. Like fuck it, I'm out. I can't take you guys anymore, kind of thing. You know?
Yeah, I mean, how do you coach somebody like mid camp? I mean, unless
Yeah.
you were watching her this entire time, you know her game and
Yeah, especially someone like KGB who's so well rounded and so versatile and athletic and powerful.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, with that, with it being the last Fox card, we could just want to pay a little tribute. Um, just to stroll down memory lane real quick. It's been well, as of now, it's been over 7 years since the first Fox card, the Velasquez dos Santos card, that everyone thought was gonna bring the UFC and MMA out of the darkness into the for it is a mainstream sport. I don't think anyone can deny that now, but I guess everyone thought it can be aside the NFL and things like that. It never came to that. It's definitely bigger than it was 7, 8 years ago. I think there is a lot that Fox had to do with that. Now they're moving to ESPN. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how much more that helps. ESPN's a different animal because it's a thing of it's part of the culture in the way you go to any sports bar or any restaurant. ESPN's always going to be on the TV, so people who probably never seen a UFC fight might catch it on accident. So there is that. But what are your thoughts, Reen? Do you have a favorite UFC on Fox moment or a fight that sticks out to you or a card that sticks out to you?
yeah. Actually, it was funny because when you were asking me that earlier, I was like, "What do I have?" Rumble Johnson and Bader kept coming up.
Wow.
Isn't it weird? But it kind of ties in with what happened. So I was in San Francisco. I was out with my family, whatever, and I totally forgot that this fight was coming up. So I rushed home and I actually caught that main event, Rumble versus Bader.
You
And
were very lucky.
yeah, because I walked in, I turned it on. I'm like, oh my God, it's over already? Like a minute, 26 seconds. He took him out. And I just remember calling one of my homies. I was like, bitch, I told you. I told you, you don't sleep on Rumble.
Yeah,
So,
that's when Rumble was at his most terrifying. Now that you bring that up, I remember him after he knocked him unconscious from the mount, like just from pounding his face in. I just remember him getting up and like the whole crowd just looking like in horror and him just like having this look on his face, like, yeah, come fuck with me. Like no one can touch me right now. And
yeah.
this was even after he lost to DC the first time, but people were still like, damn. Then, they ended up fighting again. And I remember DC was still an underdog. He was an underdog in the first fight, and I think he was an underdog in the second fight. Like, that's how terrifying Rumble is. He got his ass beat by DC in the first fight, but they're like, no, he's going to take it this time. None of that wrestling shit's going to matter anymore because he's going to fuck him up.
Yeah. So I know it's weird that that actually just like is the fight that I most remember on Fox or just one that stands out. But just everything that happened that day and then making that call. I felt so good.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's funny. That's interesting. That's a cool little, personal story. Like to me, the more and more I think about it, the more it comes to mind. I think it was UFC on Fox 5. It was about a year into the deal, I believe. A year-end card. I think it was Ben Henderson versus Nate Diaz was the main event. And I won't forget that card because it was a lot of good fights on that one. I think Roy McDonald is when he beat that's when he beat BJ Penn. That's when he kind of became like a household name. Um, that's when he started getting up there. And then Gustafson beat Shogun, if I remember correctly. And that's when people started taking a notice of Gus too. And then Henderson, that was like Henderson always had close fights for his championship fights, but that was the one fight where he clearly dominated the guy. It was clear who won, beat the shit out of Nate Diaz. But the main reason I remember that, although it's kind of not related, but what I remember that night was as soon as the main event was over, I was checking Twitter, catching reactions and whatnot, and I saw that Manny Pacquiao had been knocked out because that was the Pacquiao versus Marquez 4 fight where he got knocked unconscious. So after seeing the fights, I was like, damn, that was a good night of fights. That was cool. And then I check on Twitter and see that Pacquiao, the guy who hadn't been beaten forever, was just knocked dead. So I have like even though I didn't see the fight live, I caught the little video on Twitter and whatever, and I just had those two images stuck in my mind of Pacquiao getting knocked out, and then just the highlights of the night of that Fox card. So that's probably the most memorable card for me. Maybe not from a fight standpoint, but just from the things that happened that night, and the overall combat sports world. So yeah, those were good times, especially in the beginning. They'd kind of been trailing off a little bit towards the end because they kind of just treated them as regular cards. But in the beginning, the Fox card was so unique and intriguing because you're like, oh, this is like kind of like a pay per view, but it's not because the quality's there, but you don't have to pay for it. Like you just felt like you were getting a treat for the first like year or two of watching it. I remember being really appreciative every time a Fox card came on before.
yeah, I wonder if they're going to do like a highlight reel or some kind of special video.
That's a good question. I would want to say yeah, but then again, it's business. Um, people can get kind of, like remember when Goldberg left, they were like, oh,
Oh,
how did you
yeah.
not give him a tribute or something? But it's like, it's business, they don't look at these things so emotionally sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah, but that would be cool, like seeing Velasquez getting knocked out by Dos Santos, and then seeing, some of the Ben Henderson fights, the Demetrius Johnson fights, like some of the big cards that they did. That'd be cool. But I guess on to bigger and better things now with ESPN. So yeah, ESPN is going to be interesting because it's not just the channel; it's going to be the streaming service, and it seems like this is the way of the future with streaming streaming sites, which is a pretty good segue into the next thing I wanted to talk about with Canelo. Canelo's fighting this weekend. Um, side note, it's not just Canelo and not just the UFC. Bellator's on Friday in Hawaii. Shannon versus Primus, and then Saturday, Limale McFarlane is fighting Latorno. Those should be excellent fights, so you guys should catch those. But and Invictus on Saturday too, immediately following the UFC card, and it's a really good card. The one that's standing out for me is Kay Hansen versus Sharon Jacobson. Hansen's taking this last minute notice. That should be interesting. And then the main event, Frey versus Grisander 2, rematch of a fight that seems like nobody thought that Jin Yu Frey won the first one, so they're gonna have a lot to prove. So there's a lot of fights to catch up on this weekend. But maybe the biggest fight aside from the Fox card is Canelo. He's fighting on DAZN. And I just want to talk about this really quick because I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting what possibilities this may hold because this is a weird market. You know, Canelo has mostly Mexican fans, and I don't know if they're too familiar. I'm sure they're not too familiar with the zone, but I don't know if they're familiar with streaming in general. Obviously, this is a good move. People got paid a lot of money, but how do you think this is going to pay off for DAZN in the end, Ring?
I'm not sure. I mean, since HBO boxing just went away, so those customers, that market's gonna maybe move over to the zone.
And you
It's
know what? Honestly, if there's a lot of people, at least back in the day, who would get HBO just for boxing. Now that they don't have that, HBO, at least in my neck of the woods, is around $15 a month. The zone is only 10, and your first month is free. So there's a lot of people who are probably going to catch this fight for free. And I've caught a little bit of the zone. I've watched a few fights on there, and it's really good. I like it. I'll for sure be keeping the I'll for sure be keeping the subscription because not just Bellator, but they have like Combate Americas and I think KSW and a lot of the British boxing matches. It's a really good service, but I'm a fight fanatic. I think a lot of people who are going to be watching Canelo are probably not in, the same lane that I drive in, but it's going to be interesting. Definitely a lot of people are going to be finding out a lot of new stuff this weekend as far as streaming and other ways to get fights aside from pay-per-view and from HBO and ESPN and the whole deal.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I wonder what's gonna happen. Wonder if it's gonna like the younger generation is gonna migrate over to more of this. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because
I mean, the
it's all
cord
about
cutting.
streaming,
Yeah, the cord cutting is the biggest deal right now. Everyone's cord cutting, so they're kind of
hmm
getting on the ball and like, well, if you can't beat them, join them. We're not gonna get
right?
many people back on regular TV, so see what's up with these streaming sites and see what they can do for us.
Yeah, you can watch it from anywhere, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's not
I will
doesn't
say,
cost.
yeah, I will say for as far as UFC Fight Pass is obviously awesome, and if you love the UFC and I mean MMA in general, because you have Pride and WEC and Victa and the whole deal, but you can watch old fights. But as far as the service, the zone is really good. Um, like I said, the boxing that they have, the MMA that they have a lot of good name fighters and fighters we don't see too often, but a lot of talented guys. I think the service is really good, and I'm not gonna say it's better than UFC Fight Pass, but I like the variety. I like that I can watch. Because the thing with UFC Fight Pass is that aside from the UFC and catching up on replays, there's not big fights on there. The Fight Pass prelims are never that big. I love Invicta, but it's never like a huge event with them. And I really don't know. I don't really watch EBI. I don't watch many of the other promotions, so I don't know. I don't catch up with that too much, but I know most of the people that are fighting on the zone, so I'm always intrigued. So that's my take on that. Um, Mostly me just being a fan of the service, but we'll see what's gonna happen this weekend. There's always the factor too that people will probably know about it after the fact because I feel like this fight's not getting promoted as much as it should. Do you think like have you seen a lot of promotion around it?
No, mm-mm. I totally forgot that this fight was coming up.
Yeah, I forgot until like a week ago. So yeah, who knows? Maybe it doesn't catch on right away, but people catch a replay. And then from here on out, this is basically all Canelo is going to be doing. So they're going to have to get on board eventually. If you like Canelo, you can't miss all his fights just because he's fighting on the internet. You'll soon start to see that the zone is a pretty legit avenue to watch fights.
Yeah, I mean the I remember him signing the zone at when he first signed. It was such a big thing, and ever since then, yeah, they really didn't talk about this fight.
Yeah, now I think I don't know if he's officially signed or he's going to. It looks like Triple G might sign soon.
Oh yeah, they did offer that like a month later.
Yeah, and I don't know if that ever got confirmed, but it would only make sense. And how insane would that be? I mean, it seems like everyone wants to see the third match between Canelo and Triple G, and having to be on a streaming service instead of a $80 pay per view. I mean, that'd definitely be a relief for us fight fans who definitely wouldn't want to miss that match. If it ends up going that way.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see with that one.
yeah. Okay, so we're gonna touch on the last story of the night. So this I hadn't read too much about it, but now that I see the details, it's kind of funny. This Brock Lesnar fuckery, and I am gonna call it fuckery because I don't know what other way to describe it. I
I'm sorry.
mean, a glitch, deleted test. I guess it seems a lot of people are going with their gut in this one, and I'm one of them. So Brock said it says sometime in October, I guess, that he had numerous tests, two tests, I believe, and then all of a sudden it went to one, which led people to speculate that they took a test out of the system because he tested dirty. And then USADA spokespeople went on this week and said that it was just a glitch. It was some kind of technical thing on their website, that he was tested only once and that it was a mistake that it came up twice. I'm interested in this. I'm gonna just kind of just ask you some stuff here because I know you follow WWE a little bit more than me. All I know is that people were saying that he's been shrinking in size, and I know for a fact that he's been getting tested lately, and everyone thinks that he's going to come back to fight DC. You had mentioned in an earlier podcast that you don't think it was going to happen because the WWE was offering him a lot of money. What do you think of that? First of all, what do you think about the whole excuse, the whole statement about it being a glitch, and what do you think is going to happen in Brock's future?
I don't buy the excuse. I mean, come on. It happened to this athlete that has or had issues, right?
Yeah.
With steroids. I mean, it just had to happen with this guy. Like, okay, man, you want us to believe that? You got to come up with something better than that. That is just a technical glitch on a website. Come on.
Well, and then I remember like it was before Ronda fought Nunes, because obviously she had a long layoff. But I remember oh no, I'm sorry, I have it mixed up. It was after she fought Nunes. After Ronda lost, she basically was never drug tested. And it's funny because yeah, obviously she's wrestling now. Everyone knows that she doesn't want to fight. I mean, all the signs are there. But the rule is you're supposed to have it in writing. I'm retired. I no longer need drug testing because I no longer wish to compete. I don't think Ronda ever wrote that letter. She never even said out loud that she retired. I mean, even now, she hasn't really said it, even though she's having another career in wrestling. So, by the look of things, it seems like USADA definitely has favorites. And I mean favorites as far as favorite people they like to test and favorite people they like to avoid. And it doesn't seem just coincidental to me.
No, not at all. And just this whole thing with what's happening in WWE, like, I don't know if they can afford to let go Brock Lesnar, especially with Roman Reigns being out. Raw is not that much of a popular brand in comparison to SmackDown. And I think they have like two separate TV deals too, so that's another issue. So,
Yeah, isn't I think SmackDown, aren't they supposed to go to Fox next year?
yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to a different one.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Brock is with Raw and he gets paid a lot of money. I mean, sometimes he comes out, sometimes he doesn't. But yeah, he looks smaller to me. His body's a little bit more smoothed out, and but I don't know, man. That missing test result or whatever, it's just weird to me. And then just everything kind of surrounding WWE right now. I'm like, I don't really see him coming back to take an ass whooping. Yeah, he might get paid out a lot, but not WWE money, So I don't
Yeah.
know if he would take that kind of fight.
He'd really have to be doing it from his heart, right? Like from a purely competitive standpoint. Like I feel like I
Yeah.
want to be champion. I feel like I can beat this guy, but I think a big part of me feels like that. Not that it's bullshit, but like it's just hard to believe because I feel like a big part of it has to do with the money, but it can't be all of it either. It's hard. It's tough for me to say for sure because I know that Brock likes to fight, and I know he can be a bit delusional in thinking that he can beat everybody. But he also loves money. He legit loves money, and he always has. So I don't know. I want to say that I think he'll do the smart choice and stay with the WWE because the way you explain it, it seems like that's the easiest and the smartest. But maybe that caveman side of his brain is like, no, I must fight. I need, need to win that belt again.
Yeah, well, that's another side of it too with this. Like, I think that if he does this, it might be like a character assassination because some of those people really think it's real, right? The WWE side.
You mean
So,
fans, WWE fans?
yeah, WWE fans, and it might hurt him in that business if he takes this fight.
Well, as we
Daniel
were talking,
Cormier being a smaller guy and whatever,
yeah,
right? Things like
yeah.
that. The whole entertainment aspect of it.
It's
So,
it is interesting to think. I mean, all I see now is I think from what I see now is Brock Lesnar is now what he was before. It was just this intimidating freak of nature. And it's funny because yeah, he lost a few times, and then the last two losses were horrible. He got kicked in the liver by Overeem, and then just got the shit kicked out of him by Velasquez. But that doesn't seem to follow him. I don't know if it's just because of his physique. You just look at him, and you're like, well, nobody's gonna want to fuck that guy. But then like we were talking about Ronda earlier, she's there. She only had two losses in her entire career, very bad losses, the last two fights of her career, but it's following her and plaguing her now to the point where I mean she almost doesn't seem like she wants to do it anymore because you could tell it's getting to her emotionally. It's kind of weird. I don't know if it's like I don't want to go down that easy route and say, oh, it's just sexism and it's easy to pick on a girl because she's supposed to be a tough girl and she got her ass kicked. I don't know what it is, but it is. I would just say that it is interesting that it doesn't follow Brock around as much as it conceivably should or presumably should.
yeah, and I think there's a lot of new fans with WWE too, so they may not know, especially since Ronda moved over. I think there's a lot more, especially like the girls. There's a lot more female fans now
Yeah,
too,
yeah. It
especially
seems like
SmackDown and those ladies doing it
that's like where all the big girls are, right? The most popular females anyway, right?
in wrestling. You mean
Yeah, yeah. The like as far as
SmackDown?
popularity, yeah, it seems like they have the big
I
roster
think
when it
so.
comes to women.
I think so. That's actually my. I rather watch that brand than Raw. Like if Raw comes on Monday, I'm like, okay, it's Monday. Eh. Then Tuesday rolls around, like, cool. The guys are great, and the females are awesome. Like I like watching it, and I used to make fun of WWE people, so I'm going to admit it right now. Even a couple years ago, when I saw MMA fans talking about it, and I saw it on my timeline, I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? Aren't you guys adults?
Why are you watching this fake shit when you
Yeah,
watch
what are
real
you watching
fights?
this shit
Yeah,
for? Right. That didn't
yeah.
correlate with me until I started watching it again. I was like, oh my God, they are so much better than they used to be. Because I come from the
Mm.
Rick the Dragon, Rick the Dragon Steamboat era and, you know, Macho Man Randy Savage and
Yeah,
watching,
yeah,
Saturday
80s.
mornings.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where I came from. I was like, oh, totally moved away from that. I watched some of it when Sting came along and,
Yeah, I come from the Attitude Era, so I was all
yeah.
Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H,
Yep. Yep.
all
I
that
watched
stuff.
some of that.
Yeah.
And then
That
I'm
was when
like,
I was a little kid, but yeah, I never really got back around to it. But it is funny because it seems like some of these people always watched it. Like, oh, I like people my age, like, oh yeah, I watched Stone Cold and all that, and they kept watching it through and through and through, and like, damn. And now they're like geeks about it. Like, oh, I don't like the angle that Vince is trying to do on the. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, it's to me, it's just always ridiculous because it's like that's like if I go to see a movie and it's like, well, I don't think the director should have done. It's like, dude, you either like the movie or you don't. Just it's all fiction anyway. But I don't know.
yeah.
I find it funny that they get mad at the quote unquote creators, for just making decisions that they don't like.
And you know what else is funny? I've noticed that more MMA journalists and media people are watching
I think
and
it's mostly
covering
just
it.
Ronda. I think
Yeah.
it seems like it's always Ronda that's always in the headlines as far as the MMA stuff goes.
Yeah. So they're watching it too. So they have this whole new like set of eyes on that
Yeah,
side.
I do feel
So
like it is bigger than it has been in a while. So
mhm.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well,
yeah.
that's our WWE slash steroid slash Brock Lesnar is innocent talk.
He's
So,
innocent.
hey, what
Quotations.
can you prove? Tell me.
Allegedly, it's missing.
Shit
I
happens,
don't know.
man.
Yeah, shit happens. Like he got tested, right?
He
What was
did,
that
yeah. He
happened?
has been getting tested. It's just the whole thing is that it wasn't a deleted test. It was just a glitch. Like, don't. It was no big
Yeah,
deal. That's the whole
but
story.
prior to that, he had that exemption for 3 months, and next thing you know, he fought, and later on we found out. Yeah,
Well, yeah, that was the Mark Hunt fight, and that yeah, they shit the bed on that one real bad, and I think that's why they're scrutinizing him and USADA
now,
so much because like motherfuckers, how are we gonna trust you? We know what happened last time.
right? Especially now, it's missing. So
Yeah,
come on, man,
yeah.
do better, do better.
Funny to tell USADA to do better, but well, I guess in a way they are. They're not putting people on blast for failing drug tests, which is
Oh
good
God,
and
yeah,
bad in a way. But this is gonna
yeah.
be
At least
interesting
they
to
changed
see.
that.
It's gonna be interesting how it happen, what happens going forward now with the ESPN deal. Um, who knows if that affects anything, but you never know. You never know. ESPN seems like they want to be clean and have a good image, but also I'm sure they also don't want fights getting canceled. Just like UFC 233 was canceled yesterday. God damn it, I'm still fucking upset about that. I was upset about it last week, and I'm even more upset now because this is the second year in a row it happens. It was supposed to happen on a second time. 214 happened. That was a postponed card. That was also supposed to happen in January, and then they canceled it and moved it to July. So now I'm just okay. I'm gonna save my money for July, but I'm not gonna get my hopes up because UFC doesn't think things through. But
So I don't get this. So nobody wanted to fight, or they were looking for a champion to fight.
think about it. Well, it has to be a champion, but think about it. 99% chance it was a champion. You're whatever champion you want to be. Hey, you want to fight in a month? You want to defend your title in a month? Have a 4 week training camp, maybe 3 week, and fight for. I'm assuming they're just gonna offer them their usual contracted amount. They're not gonna give them like, oh, we'll give you $1 million if you take the fight. They're just like, oh yeah, take the fight. It's there for you. You're gonna fight some guy who's basically probably undeserving because nobody wants to take it, or it's a guy you haven't wanted to fight. We're gonna kind of force him upon you. Like, what is it? Honestly, what is it in there? What's in there for the champion?
Yeah.
Who would want to take that? I mean, unless you haven't fought in a while, unless you really hate this guy that is the opponent, you just want to beat him, or unless you desperately need money. I mean, if you're all good in those aspects, then there's no real incentive for you to take it.
Now they wanted to force Woodley to do it, right?
Yeah,
Is
and,
that
and,
what that
and
was?
yeah, I mean that's why I'm assuming that's why Dana's been so pissed. But it's like he's hurt, and he's been saying
Yeah.
he's hurt, and I believe him. I mean, he beat the shit out of Till. I'm sure he broke his hand there, or re-broke it, or whatever. And also, it's like it'd be one thing if you were thinking about this a while back, and like if Woodley had told him, "Okay, I'll be good by January. It's not a big thing," and then Dana comes up to him and is like, "Oh, well, you want to fight? You said you'd be good," and then all of a sudden he backs out. I kind of get it, but he's been hurt. He wasn't really intent on taking a match. It seems like they kept on forcing this shit upon him. It's like if he's hurt and he doesn't want to fight, why do you keep going back to him? He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to fight. That should be the end of the story, I think. Maybe Dana's just stupid and hard headed like that, but I don't get the point.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
I'm
that's right. I saw
yeah.
that video of him like saying, "What? His thumb hurts or something." He doesn't need a thumb
He
to
never wants
fight.
to fight. Yeah, he never wants to fight. When does he ever want to fight?
Yeah, saying all that. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
man. Woodley
Plan
again.
your plan your
Taking
cards
on.
out ahead of time with sufficient time for a training camp, and people will be jumping at you to fight. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Gotta stop picking on Woodley though.
That
Always,
that's
man.
that's why I'm not mad about. I'm not even mad that they can't. I'm talking shit, and I'm mad because yes, I wanted to see it and it got my hopes up. But I'm really not mad in the long scheme of things because it's like, how good was that card gonna be? And they had a lot of good cards, but it's like, how are you gonna fill up a card, the prelims and everything else? And isn't it? Doesn't it make sense? The first thing you look for is a main event, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like, I'm not mad. Like, yeah, it's your own incompetence. You're the one that has to deal with this bullshit now. All I have to do is just save my money for later, which I guess technically only helps me because it sucks when they come unexpectedly. I just went in August to a UFC event. 5 months later, I'm going to another one. Like, yeah, I'd rather just wait it out a little bit and have some time to save some stuff up, especially with the holidays. But that's a that's a different story for a different day. So anyway, guys, we're gonna call it a night. Um, thank you for your support. We're on in case you guys haven't caught us on social media, we're on a lot of different platforms now. We're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, we're on Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean, so you can catch us anywhere there. As always, give the subscribe, leave a review, do whatever you can, retweet, share, give us a follow. The iTunes, the Twitter and Instagram is iFox with Juice. And of course, me and Reen are also on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Juice underscore MMA. Reen's at Fox with you. And we'll catch you guys next week. It's we're approaching the end of the year. We're gonna have an end of year show. We might have a bonus episode or two with the holidays coming up. So keep your eyes peeled. It may not just be the typical Thursday, Friday show. So you may get a little surprises coming down your way. So as always, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys later.
See ya.